As you now know what an account is and that there are two different types of them, so externally owned accounts and contract accounts, let's have a look at the communication between the accounts. So we will talk about messages and transactions. Transaction is a cryptographically signed instruction which is sent by the externally owned account, so the account owned by the user and controlled by their private key, which in turn updates the state of the blockchain network. What does it mean though? Updates the state of the blockchain network. It means that new information will be written into the newly created blocks, and anyone can later on access it and have a look at what happened. A simple transaction would be, for example, transferring ETH from one account to another. And to give you an example in a visual way, think of Mandy transferring one ETH to Benny. So it is a transaction between externally owned account and another externally owned account. In result, the balance of Mandy's account will be decreased and Benny's account balance will increase by one ETH. But now, what is the difference between transaction and a message? Because I think you heard about both, and many people think that they are actually the same thing, but there are some crucial details that we will now walk through. Transactions. A transaction is a signed data package with a lot of different information giving you context of a specific action. So when we talk about Mandy sending ETH to Benny, we'll have the information about the value, we will have information about who sent it, so the address of Mandy's account, and for example, the address of Benny's account. It is triggered by an externally owned account, so only a user can trigger a transaction. And as I told you before, it is updating the state of the blockchain, which means that it's serialized on the chain, so the information is persisted in the blocks and cannot be altered. Important thing to note is that every transaction will generate the gas fees that are needed for the blockchain to function. And as mentioned already before, it will update the state of the network. Messages, on the other hand, are virtual objects which are similar to transactions. They are sent from contract accounts or can be also sent from externally owned accounts to a smart contract. So you need to understand that a message is sent to a computer program. Very important is that they are not serialized, so they do not update the state of the network. They only exist in that virtual environment of the Ethereum virtual machine, so the decentralized computer of Web3. And as they are not serialized, they are also not generating gas fees. So if you've ever received a message in your wallet and you had to sign it, you probably noticed that you didn't have to pay for that. So this was a message. Also, an important thing that a message does is that it triggers code execution. We already talked about code execution, which might be triggering a certain behavior, a certain action, which again can be, for example, transferring certain amount of token from one account to the other. It can be, for example, passing an NFT from me to Benny.